Hello, my freshmen. Let's wrap up this lesson by moving forward with grammar a little bit. Last week we looked at capitalization. This week we're going to look at fixing spelling errors in English. Kind of the big three of usage that I want to make sure we master before we move on to new stuff in a few weeks here are using end marks to finish your sentences. Most of you are doing a great job with that from what I've seen so far. Capitalization. I was pretty impressed with how a lot of you did on our capitalization practice last week. And now spelling this week as well. There is a practice assignment, just like we did with capitalization, below the lesson video in our folder. As of now, it's due by midnight Friday night, but I am thinking of bumping that to midnight Sunday night if this video goes long. I know I'm giving you guys a lot of video to watch today, so I might bump that deadline just to give you some breathing room on that assignment. You do not have class, virtual class next Monday, but for Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to discuss some test-taking strategies, give you guys some tricks that you can do on quizzes or tests to help you answer questions, to prep us for our first quiz coming up at the end of next week. And we are also going to start reading our next short story, which is called Born Worker. Let's get to spelling errors. Just like with capitalization, a little PowerPoint that you are free to read through and take notes on. Any notes you take will be super helpful as you do your practice assignment after this little mini lesson, so keep that in mind. This lesson does start with a little warning. Spelling in the English language is governed by loads and loads and loads of rules. Way too many rules that I could teach this year. There are even spelling rules in the English language that I don't know well. I just know how to use them because I'm a native English speaker, like most of you or all of you are. And there's a lot of exceptions for those rules as well. So instead of teaching you a bunch of different spelling rules and expecting you to remember all of them, I do want to give you some pro tips just for fixing your own spelling mistakes in general. The first one is to read slowly and carefully to commit new words and their spellings to memory. So the best way to build our knowledge of how to spell certain words is to read. It's the best way to learn vocabulary and to practice our English skills anyway, as science has shown. But reading slowly and carefully and watching spellings as you read helps you to commit those words to memory so you don't make those spelling mistakes later. When you writing and proofreading slowly and carefully helps you to catch careless mistakes. A lot of the spelling errors we see in writing are for words that we already know how to spell. A lot of the spelling errors that I see as a teacher are words that I know you guys know how to spell right, but because we tend to write quickly, sometimes we miss those as we're writing or even as we're proofreading later. So you want to make sure that you're writing carefully and slowly enough that you can catch really careless little typos. And really the third rule of thumb with spelling in general is that if something looks or feels wrong in writing, it likely is. Obviously there are exceptions to that rule, but if you look at a word and you're like, is that really how it's spelled? It's likely misspelled. Use a dictionary or another resource like Google to check for a correct spelling if you're not sure. There's no shame in using your resources to help you spell. I said Google on my phone and my phone pulled up Google Help.
Check for a correct spelling.
Wow. Couple of common misspellings that we should be aware of. So because the English language has so many rule exceptions, there are a certain number of words that people often misspell. I think I saw a statistic once that said that only 6% of words in the English language cause 50 to 60% of all spelling errors. So mastering those words is really helpful for fixing a lot of those errors. Probably the most common one that I've seen in high school is a lot. A lot is 2 words. So as we see this little picture right here, I miss you blank. Is it a space lot or is it a lot, 1 word? A lot of high schoolers try to use a lot as 1 word when it's actually 2. Fixing that mistake might be an immediate, overnight just fix that you can make to make your spelling better in general. A lot is 2 words. I miss you. A space lot. I have included a list that you're free to look through here. I'm going to open it. What happens if I click it? Does it take me straight to it? Yeah, it opens up a new tab. So there's a lot of these lists online of frequently misspelled words, but I like this one because it goes in alphabetical order. So words like, there's a lot right there. As we go into the B's, believe tricks a lot of people into putting EI instead of IE. And the C's, and we'll go on. Definitely is one that I see people misspell a lot. A lot of people write defiantly instead. Enough, people might be tricked into using an F instead of a GH there. Back on the back end of the alphabet, Wednesday is oftentimes misspelled. I know February is on this list as well. library, a lot of people miss that first R. So these are just a list of 102 common misspellings that people make. There's certainly more common mistakes that people make, but I like how this list goes in alphabetical order. Maybe not a bad idea for you to look through this list, see if there's any words that you did not know how to spell before, that you can start making those fixes now, or you can use this as a resource when you're writing later on. Next slide. The biggest thing that I can teach you in regards to fixing spelling errors are knowing how to work with homophones. Homophones are words that sound the same but are spelled differently, and because they're spelled differently, have different meanings. I should have ended my parenthesis there. That's my bad. An example is buy, and buy. All three of these words sound exactly the same. They all make the buy sound. However, we know that B-U-Y, buy, is a verb meaning to purchase something with money, to buy it. B-Y-E, buy, is a way to say goodbye to someone. We say bye-bye. B-Y, buy, is the preposition. I drove my car by the school. Since these words are not technically misspelled, computer spell checkers will never identify them as being wrong. So I could type, I drove my car by the school, B-U-Y, by, and spell check will not pull that up for me. If I'm lucky, it'll tell me that I've used the wrong usage, but it's not going to give me the little red squiggly lines for being misspelled. So we have to watch out for homophones because they're really easy to miss when we're writing and proofreading. I do want to teach you through a couple of the major homophones that I see a lot in student writing. The first one is there, and there. So another triple homophone, right? T-H-E-R-E, there, is the word used for a location. So I might say something like, my unicycle is over there, over in that location. T-H-E-I-R, there, is possessive. For multiple people. So there's the they, a group of people. There would be what they own. Their unicycles, the unicycles of those people, are over here, right? So I still have a location there. It's here this time. But there we've used oh my goodness, I used the word there. Wow. The word there in this sentence is used as possessive for those unicycles, the unicycles of the people. T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E is a contraction. It's a combination of two words. It's they and are. So we see in the sentence, they are there riding camels instead of unicycles. I don't know why I thought of unicycles for my example sentences in this presentation, but I just kind of rolled with it. So just another example of where my brain goes sometimes. Probably the other most common homophone mistake we see in high school is to, and to, another triple homophone. To is a direction. It's a preposition that tells us the direction of an object or where something is going. I rode my unicycle to, again, the direction, the monster truck rally. I started off that sentence at point A, at my house maybe. I ended the sentence at point B, at the monster truck rally. To is an adverb. It can mean like too much, in excess, or it can mean also, like we have in this sentence. You have a unicycle too? Notice that comma? You could replace that too with also. You have a unicycle also? Or you also have a unicycle? Question mark. TWO is how we spell out the number 2. That means we have 2 unicycles. Not one unicycle, but 2 unicycles. Again, all 3 of these words have the same sound, but they have 3 different spellings and 3 different meanings. Bonus round. So there's a ton more homophones. I've included a list right here that we'll look through in just a moment. Like it was with there, they are, some homophone issues come from contractions. There's more examples than what we see on this page, but I want to go through 2 more with you. It's and its. ITS, no apostrophe, is possessive. So my unicycle lost its wheel, the wheel of my unicycle. IT apostrophe S is the contraction for it is. Now it's, IT apostrophe S, it is broken. Same thing with your and your. YOUR, no apostrophe, is possessive. Can I ride your unicycle, the unicycle that belongs to you, instead? YOU apostrophe RE is the contraction you are. You are so kind. You're so kind. This is probably the mistake that that all the YouTube comment sections make, right? Where someone will write like, you're stupid, and it's YOUR, and then they probably misspell stupid as well. Again, to make yourself seem like you're not foolish on the internet, make sure you're getting your homophones right. We'll look at some of the other common ones here too. This is a list that Scholastic has put out for the top 20 most commonly confused. There are a ton more than 20, but these are 20 that you should probably focus on mastering, I would say by the end of your sophomore year, but there's certainly ones that we're going to master this year. Affect is one of them. AFF, affect, is the verb. EFF is the noun. Than and then. Than is comparisons. John is taller than his brother. Then is for passage of time. Which and which, that one's not as common. Here and here. Are and our is another one. This one kind of depends on your dialect as well. So like, when I say O-U-R, I usually say our, more like H-O-U-R, our, and I say R is R, but not everyone pronounces that way. By and by, accept and accept, whether and whether, there and there we know, two and two, your and your, one and one, break and break. Complement, again, that's a little more advanced of one. Lie and lay is a really tricky one that you'll probably actually see on the ACT. We'll cover that at some point. Principle and principle, P-L-E, means like a truth or a law. P-A-L, because he's your principal, is like a school principal, like Mr. Kirsch. Keep that in mind. Let's practice these a little bit. So I'm going to have to back out of this presentation in a moment here to fix these, but I've given you 3 sentences right here that for you to fix, that I'll fix in just a moment as an example. It helps with spelling mistakes to read sentences aloud. So sentence number 1 says, there are a lot of books at the library. Number 2, you're allowed to take your lunch break at noon. My friend has too many books to fit in his locker. Take a moment to see if you can fix these on your own. I'm going to back out and demonstrate how to fix these sentences. All right, I got a chance to pull up my slide right here, and you notice that spell check is automatically telling me that some of those spelling mistakes are wrong. Again, that works for some errors. It's not going to help me with homophones very much, so I have to be careful. First sentence, there are a lot of books at the library. We talked about a lot just a little bit ago. A lot is 2 words. So I make that space right there between a and lot, and it fixes that problem. Spell check is telling me that library is wrong. I know that it's library. Again, a lot of people miss that first R right there, so you got to be careful. I fixed sentence 1. You're allowed to take your lunch break at noon. Now, Microsoft was nice, and they're noticing that I am using the wrong form of break right here. This would be like a brake for a bike or a car. Here I need EAK, and if I right-click, it'll make that suggestion for me. Welcome to editor, got it. There is another homophone in this sentence that Microsoft did not pick up for me, and it's your. There are 2 yours. There's your allowed, and there's your lunch. This one's correct. It's the lunch that belongs to me, but this your should be the contraction you are. Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. You are allowed to take your lunch break at noon. Number 3, my friend has too many books to fit in his locker. There's actually 3 spelling errors in this one. Let's fix a simple one first. Friend is I-E, not E-I. And now we have some homophones as well. Too many books to fit in his locker. We actually have 2 incorrect forms of to in this sentence. This should be too many, so I need the adverb, T-O-O, the T-O-O right here should be the TO2. So I flipped some things, right? He has too many books, an excessive amount of books, to fit, infinitive, in his locker. Notice that I fixed all the spelling errors that way. You want to do the same thing. I can close this now. You'll want to do the same exact thing as we go into spelling errors practice assignment. It's the same thing as what you did for capitalization. You want to, I think you have a little button that says my document up here on the right. You'll click on that. I'll show mine real quick. And it'll bring you into a document just like this. Notice the directions. Correct the incorrect sentences by correcting spelling errors where needed. Each sentence contains exactly 2 spelling errors, no more, no less. So getting a sentence completely right is worth a point. Getting a sentence partially right is worth half a point. You'll want to be especially careful with homophones. So if you're one of my savvy students who's been using spell check to help, which is fine, first of all, hand tax is correct the way it is, so you'll never need to correct my name. But if you see that vegetables here can be spell checked, you can absolutely do that. But remember, it's not going to pick up every homophone. So you can't just rely on using spell check alone. You do need to actually read through these sentences to look for those homophones too. With the length of this video, I think I am going to bump the deadline for this assignment to Sunday, but obviously if you get that done ahead of time, that frees up some of that homework load for your weekend. So best of luck as you correct, and I'll catch you guys in our next lesson.